Guys, great news. The top-selling inshore saltwater spinning reel on our entire site by a large margin, the Otis 2500 is back. It's sold out like crazy during November and the Black Friday, but we have them back in officially right now. Get them while you can. They go fast. Insider members save $50. You save half your membership just on that one purchase. And when you pair it with a rod like the slot machine or the slam stick, you literally pay for your membership in just that one purchase. And what's really cool, both the slam stick and the slot machine are so light. Those rods are so incredibly light. When you combine it with this super light reel, the Otis 2500, it actually floats. So it is crazy. Don't do it unless you have to. But if you happen to lose your rod or reel over the edge or off of a kayak or paddleboard like my brother Luke has many times, it actually floats. You can pull it back in, wash it off, and keep using it. So that's at fishstrong.com. Make sure if you're a member, you're logged in. If you're not a member, what the heck are you waiting on? Sign up today and join the 65,000 other members in the Salt Strong Insider Club. Otherwise, here's the episode.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
How often should you clean your saltwater spinning reel? Hey, everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds.
Hey, and Luke Simons.
Like diamonds. What did you have there earlier? You showed me a box of a couple reels you got there. Huh?
Yeah, I just have some advice after going through a lot of reels over the years. I've actually saved all of them, and here's the Tupperware full of them. It's full to the top, and so yeah, I've gone through a lot of reels over the years. I've done a lot of the wrong things that significantly decrease the lifespan of my reels, and so we're going to talk about not only what you should do, but more importantly, really what you should not do, because you don't want to be like me and have a ton of wasted money on reels that no longer work.
Yeah, and at the end, if we have time, we'll talk about rods too, because it's very important, especially if you listen to podcasts before where we talk about spinning more on your rod than your reel. You want to make sure that your rod is going to last. If you're spending hundreds of dollars on a really nice rod that's going to give you the castability and sensitivity and everything that you need in a great rod. So we'll talk about cleaning that as first. But first, we'll talk about why this came up. You know, we have an amazing insider community, and we have people who are weekend warriors. It's probably the largest chunk of our members. And then we have some beginners or people who are back to kind of square one. Just it's been many years or decades since they've been fishing, or they're trying to get back into it, or maybe they're even coming from freshwater and don't know much about saltwater. That is a different ballgame when you start talking about having to fish and saltwater. And then we have, even full-time guys and pros and people who do tournaments. So we get a lot of questions from all over the spectrum, if you will. And I've seen a couple here recently from some newer anglers and people who are making that transition over, like, oh, how often should I take apart my reel and clean it? And I'm like, whoa, time out. What are you talking about, taking apart your reel and cleaning it? I don't know. I've ever done that before, and I have a lot of reels. I was like, let's just do a podcast and talk all about, like you said, the pros and the cons of cleaning, of just using water, of using oils, of taking it apart if you're crazy enough to do that. So where do you want to start? I know you're...
You'll start with, I think the biggest violation that all skill levels, when you talk about beginners, but there's probably some advanced people probably wondering, should I be here or should I not be here? And so I see this all the time, even with people who've been saltwater fishing for 30 plus years. And this is a giant killer of spinning reels in particular. And that's, with after use with saltwater, very important just to rinse get some, fresh water and rinse it off. Ideally, even a spray bottle. Like the best way, I don't personally do this, but the best way to do is get a spray bottle of fresh water and put a mist over it, and then get a towel and wipe it off. Just with the fact that you're wiping it off, that significantly helps, other than just spraying it down and letting it air dry, which is what I personally do. But the worst thing you can do that really, no matter what reel you have, spinning reels are designed to be in either upward orientation or like this, and they can withstand water very good in those orientations. That's basically how they're designed to be used. What they're not good at is water that's sprayed from under, like from the butt of the rod up. If you do that, and a lot of people do that, they'll lay their rods on the ground and they'll hose it off and they'll spray from the butt side up. And what that's doing unknowingly is like any sort of like sand or salt that's on the the exterior of the reel, which is very common, that's going to get pushed up under the spool. And once it's there, it can then go down the shaft. And now it's inside. You got dirt and salt inside your gears, which is the worst thing possible. Once it's in there, it's really hard to get it out. That is a big reason why I've got a lot of reels down here that are wrecks, because I did that for many years. I would literally lay them down, spray them from the butt side, because I would just lay them down, away from me and spray right where I was standing, and no telling how much money that caused me over the years. And I see it all the time. Make sure you don't do that. It's very simple fix. It is spray. I now just, I keep mine in the vertical rod holders in the boat when I spray it down. So the reels are vertical. They're sitting up. I spray them off from one angle, the other angle, and I air dry them. What I should be doing is spray bottle and towel, but at least as long as you're not spraying the stuff up under the spool, your reels are going to last a long time, even if they're not designed for salt water.
But also, you don't want to spray down with crazy water pressure, which is why Luke said just an old school. I'm imagining mom's little spray bottle before she would iron, before irons had the little automatic, just that little sprayer. And the reason why, if you have sand, like if you're surf fishing or have a ton of salt, it's the same thing. You could be sitting there right there where the cap is, where your drag cap, the knob, and spraying that, so hard down there. And I watched guys like Peter Deeks, who spent a lot of time on the water. I mean, that's what he does for a living as a full-time guide, and has tested out a lot of reels. And he does super quick, very low power. If you have a normal nozzle and you got it on full power, it's like, boom, it hits. I mean, he's got it just like a little mist. It is a quick little mist just to get that stuff off of there. And then he's done. And that's it. I see. And Luke, you've seen me do it. I used to do it. I was like, I'd put on the highest power possible, thinking, man, I needed to get in between the braided line and everything. Like, I'm hosing this thing off. There's going to be no salt. And that's an absolute killer. Yeah,
the goal is just really to just wipe the salt and sand off the reel, and that's it. So less is more. But just do not overpower, and definitely do not go from the bottom up. But hopefully that alone will start saving some listeners some money.
Yes. Or let's talk about taking it apart, because that was also part of the question. And I think back in the day, when we were growing up, and I just remember dads and our grandfather's old reels, had some of his old pin reels. Those were pretty basic reels, meaning way less sophisticated like today. Today you look at the part chart, like if you look at that diagram that comes with the reel, and you're like, what language is this in? Like, it's so complicated. There's so many little gears, and I can't imagine taking it apart like you used to do in the old days, where there's 10 parts and you just put them back together. I've never taken a reel apart in my life. And dude, I still test them every once in a while, because this is another tip. They will start going bad if you don't use them. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. If you're using them in salt water and then you let it sit for a couple of years, especially if you're letting it sit like in a garage, they will freeze up. So it is good to use them. But I still have some of those old Fuegos that we bought. Now they've been 8-9 years old. And I'll still just every once in a while just make a couple casts in the backyard just to keep them moving. And they're still smooth as can be. And I've never once taken them apart, nor would I ever want to.
Yeah, so I'll show a reel. This is when I used to use tournament fishing, and I was very diligent. At least I thought I was being good, and buy expensive stuff, take care of it. This is a Shimano CI4, the Stradic CI4. Very good reel, lightweight. And so after use, I wouldn't do it after every use. I would obviously wash it off, but then maybe once a month, I would actually take it apart, where I would take the screws off, open up the underbelly, and if you know what you're doing, it's probably not a bad thing. But if you're not very skilled in doing it, you'll probably be like me and do more harm than good. Because what I was doing is I would open it up and I get WD-40 and spray it in there, right? WD-40, right? To get salt away. That's what I thought I wanted. But what I was doing, and that was WD-40 breaks away grease. So I was actually breaking away a lot of the very important essentials in there. thinking I was doing a good thing. And in reality, I was actually wrecking my reels. And I was wondering why. You can probably hear it. I was like, why does this thing sound, it's pretty new reel. It just doesn't sound very good. And I was just causing more harm than good. And so I literally have stopped doing that altogether. And here's another reel. That first one was $230. This is $79. When I bought it, it was like $69. This is a Daiwa Legalis. I don't know if you probably can't hear it, but it's still way smoother. This is probably 4 years old. I've used the heck out of it. It's even like part of the handle's falling off, but I've never once opened it up. I use it a lot, and it is still butter smooth because I never allowed any salt or sand to get in there. So as long as you take care of it, you don't dunk it in the water, you don't lay it down in the sand, and you're not spraying the dirt and grime up into the body, then there's really no need to open things up. And if you do get that point and you're not skilled at it, I would recommend taking it to like a local tackle store and let a professional do it, because you'll probably be doing something like what I was doing, where I was doing way more harm than good. First of all, it took a lot of time. Those little screws are a pain to deal with. And so I was wasting time. And not only that, I was making my gear worse. So don't make that same mistake.
I did it once. It's the only reel I've thrown away. And it was a Daiwa BG, 6-7 years ago. We were on Little Gasparilla Island. And, we pulled up the boat there at the point, and it was like sitting on the bow, and it just got knocked off. So now the whole rod and reel assembly is, just imagine it being like in a couple inches of water with the surf and the sand. It was a wreck. So I took it home, so mad at myself. I took the whole thing apart, and I remember like I must have put oil and stuff. I was trying everything I could. I bought one of those little air blowers from like Lowe's, trying to get all out. I probably made it 100 times worse, and I tried to put it together, and you could. And I got so mad. I was like trying to get the thing back on, and I snapped off part of the bail, and I was like, what the heck? I destroyed the whole thing, and I literally just had to throw it away in pieces. And that was the only time I opened it up. And there were so many little parts. It was a hot mess. And so, take it to a professional who's got patience and really knows what they're doing to try to remove dirt and salt water from inside a reel.
Yeah, and these manufacturers are getting better and better with spinning reels. It's just Baitcast is a different story, that they're not nearly as well sealed with salt water. But even some spinning reels that I have, like the Legalis and Fuegos, that are either at the $100 or less line, I've actually dunked them in the water accidentally. Right, paddleboard fishing, that just happens. They'll fall in, and I'll just keep using them. And a lot of times I can't remember which one got dunked. Like when I was okay, should I take it to the store or not? I can't even tell which one got dunked, and it's fine. So if it goes in the right angle, even if it's not sealed, it can still be good. But when you hear the grinding, like Joe was mentioning, my personal thought is, what I personally do is I take it to a professional and let them do it. It doesn't cost much, under probably $10-$20, and it can significantly lengthen the lifespan of a reel.
Yep. And the other part, and please don't think I'm being flippant about money, because I'm not. But it's another reason we talk about getting cheaper reels. And if you get 2 years or even a year, heck, even 3 epic trips out of a reel, like $100 reel, and it somehow goes kaput, people act like it's the worst thing that ever happened in their lives. And yet we'll go, how much does it cost to fill up our Pathfinder? Right? I mean, way more than $100. How much does it cost to, for a day to go fishing, from trailering it to go getting shrimp or sand? Like, you spend so much more than $100 on every trip, and yet we spend $100, we get something that lasts us 2 years, and all of a sudden we act like our lives in it. I mean, to me, I get more upset when I break a rod, and I buy more expensive rods now. Like, I do tear up if I break a rod, but a reel, especially if it's like 125 or less, I'm like, man, I got a couple good years out of it. The BG bothered me more just because I broke it and I spent so much time on it. But normally that happened again, I'd be like, you know what? It's just a lost cause. I'm not going to lose sleep over pretty inexpensive equipment in the big scheme of things, right?
Yeah, and we've talked about what not to do. And so I think like one thing that a maintenance tip that is very easy to do, that has very little risk of doing harm and almost always will be a benefit, is, and again, I only do this if I hear that line's basically the line roller where the line is going, getting put onto the spool. If there's something in there, sometimes it just gets loose or whatever. And if it starts singing, or if you can hear it, get some real oil and just put a little couple drops in there. And that'll usually go in there and make it smooth and not loud again. So that's like a very, very easy fix to make. That is I used to have issues with it. Like once I moved to Iowa, I really don't. So like I don't even have like real oil. Like if I needed to do it, I don't even know where I have some. But I used to do it, and I would just put a couple drops in, and then good for another couple, another few trips or whatever, or till as long as it made noise again. But that's like the one more of a thing that I did that didn't mess anything up.
That was kind of one of the downsides of Shimano. They had a lot of issues.
Yeah, that might be fixed now too. I haven't really used it in a while, but for years back, like when I was doing the tournament fishing, that was a big issue.
And why we're talking about like the oil is because you're putting it basically where all the line is touching it. Like, is that a detriment in terms of scent for fishing too? Like to have all that real oil basically rubbing up down your line?
It surely doesn't help. I don't know if it's that big of an issue or not, but again, I haven't used real oil in a long time, so I don't know. It definitely doesn't help. I don't know if it hurts.
That was going to be part two, because I know some people are using certain oils and salt begons and all kinds of stuff on their reels. Do you ever touch it?
No. Yeah. I mean, after learning how good fish can smell, it's, I can't remember what book, I don't remember what book it was, but it was, basically fish can smell a lot better than dogs, which is mind blowing, like 10 times better. It's not even close.
Just say Scientific Angler. It's gets credit for everything.
Okay. Is that what it was? Yeah. Fish can smell extremely well. So I make a point to not put any scent as possible. Like, and petroleum is on the list of negative scent. So like oils, human scent, obviously. So like there's some like line sprays where people are spraying it on their line and it's supposed to last longer. I don't touch any of it. I'd rather risk line maybe not lasting quite as long than to have a negative scent trail on all of my line. Like that's it's not worth the risk, in my opinion. And it's just as far as braid, like as long as you get a quality braid, it lasts a long time. Like I literally, some of these reels are 10 years old, and this line is still surely good. Like as long as it still has enough to fish with, I fish with. As long as it's obviously not frayed. Once the fish wraps around a dock pile and it's starting to fray off, or if it's just that old. But if I'm looking at it and there's not any noticeable issues, I'll keep using it. And
what if it's faded where it used to be high vis yellow and it's now white?
I don't care. Yeah, as long as it's not frayed, it's still, because some lines that's happened, like basically if you get the big brands, they're going to be fine. Like Power Pro, I personally use J-Braid a lot now after doing a lot of line tests. But while testing lines, I went through a ton, fins, a bunch of different brands, and those bigger ones, the lines hold up. The newer brands, then maybe not so much, but like the big brands have been around for a while. Like they have their processes down. Like they're not going to put junk line out.
Good, cool. Let's talk about rods too. On this, with the rods, the one of the bigger things I assume for you is the guides. And the one thing I learned, I think it was when Justin was on board, because he worked at Star Rods there for a while, and he was talking about the number one place that the corrosion starts is on the bottom of the guide, because a lot of people are just holding it up vertical and spraying real quick. And it was the first time. I know you're not supposed to go underneath on the reel, but he was like, go underneath a little bit on the rod. But even better is what you just said: take a cloth and just get the salt water off. Is the best thing you could possibly do.
Yeah. So the most of the corrosion on the rods will happen right where that guide is coming onto the rod. And so I spray my rod down fairly hard. Right. There's less that can go wrong on a rod. So all of my rods last way longer than my reels because there's less that can go wrong. As long as these things don't rust off, and you make sure that you don't mess up the interior part of the guides, which is hard to do, like it's going to be fine. And obviously, you don't break your rod. No high sticking, of course. But yeah, I spray down my rods with the hose like pretty hot, pretty aggressive to just knock off any sort of salt. And then ideally, right when I'm in like super care mode, I'll get a towel and I'll literally wipe off all the excess. Especially make sure that the towel will hit the guides on both sides to get that line out, because it's basically right up top. Especially those of us who use vertical rod holders, when you spray the rod down, just think what the water's doing, right? It's flowing down the rod, and then gravity's going to take it to the guides, and it's going to sit there. And sometimes there'll be a little bit of gap from the manufacturing, and that water can get down and seep down up under the thread, and then rust is going to be happening. Granted, it takes a really long time. If you have a good rod with like nice guide, like Fuji guides, even if there's a little bit of rust, it'll still last for probably 5 more years. Like, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of abuse to have like a guide rust off. It just won't look good. You're going to see like, rust looking colors in the guides. But yeah, as long as if you just take care of it and make sure to spray it down, number 1, and then wipe it off, number 2, for both rods and reels, it is going to significantly increase the lifespan. And it doesn't take much effort. We all have towels. We all have hoses. And I just keep, obviously I spray down after every trip. And then every once in a while, especially with my nicer rods, I'll actually wipe those off, especially if I know I'm not going to be using them for a while. That's when I put a little bit more care. But if I'm on a camping trip, I don't rinse anything off for 3 or 4 days. It's fine. But if I'm not going to be fishing for a few days, then I absolutely will rinse it off. And if it's going to be a week or 2, that's when I get the towel and really make sure that I put the extra effort in to make sure it doesn't go bad. Because as Joe mentioned before, the longer it sits, the more bad things can happen.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're putting it out in your garage where it's hot, or if you live anywhere near an ocean or a bay, something that has salt water coming off of it is crazy how quickly that salt will attach to stuff and destroy it. So that's why you could see behind me on both sides. I mean, I have a lot of my rods here inside in the air conditioning, and I do take pretty good care of them after a fishing trip. And some people, I don't do this. I have, if I know it's going to be a really long time, and I do it on the travel rods. But I know there's a lot of people, like, Justin was pretty particular. He takes the reel out of the seat in the rod. He literally takes the two apart after every trip and keeps them separate and washes all that down. It certainly can only help because there's obviously some salt that can get stuck underneath there as well, especially if you had a big wave come over the side of the boat. But in general, I don't think you have to do that. I haven't really seen any issues personally. But once again, I don't let these things sit for years at a time either.
And that is an important thing. I should have mentioned that earlier, because this is another big violation of gear, of not letting the gear last as long as it should, is keeping it outside on a porch or in a garage that doesn't have temperature controlled environment. Especially, it's a factor of 10 or 20 if that location is close to salt water where there's some like salt in the air. Atlantic's worse, but even on the Gulf, like our dad, he goes through more reels than anybody I've ever met, and I fish way more than he does, and my reels last 5 times longer because he stores his reels and he has a condo, and there's a saltwater creek that's probably 200 feet from the garage, and that's where they're at. And I don't even expensive reels of his, like $200 plus, he maybe gets a year out of it. And you can hear, like, I know exactly where his dad is on the boat because you can hear that reel, hear that reel singing. My dad is like a fairly new reel. What's going on? And I don't know. It's just convenient for him to store them there versus taking them elsewhere.
And it's a quote unquote ventilated garage. It's got the little air vent, but of course it's sucking the air and pushing air straight from saltwater, the lagoon. There's mangroves. I don't know, like you said, feet behind this thing. Yeah. And I'm like, you're literally just bringing salt air and destroying all this stuff. And it gets hot. Yeah.
Yeah. Take the extras, 30 seconds to bring it inside is a huge benefit over time. And if you're not near the saltwater environment, it's not nearly as bad to store it outside, but at least for the reel and the rod, but for the line, like you just don't want to have all the humidity going up and down all over the place. It's just best to keep them inside. I've been doing that for a long time. And again, that just simply doing that has has just comparing to our dad, how much he goes through. It is night and day difference.
So that's really it. The summary is, how often should you clean it? After saltwater fishing, with some water. Every time, with a little towel, maybe every time. Should you ever spray the heck out of it as hard as you can on the reel? From either side, no. Should you do that on the rod? Maybe. The rod, like you said, there's not as many things that can go wrong with the rod. But in general, just take care of the stuff. Fresh water is all you need. You don't need a bunch of oil and certain lubricants. These new reels, they come with all that. It's all built inside, and you shouldn't really have to take them apart. And unless you really had a bad spill or got it all on the sand on the beach, that's the only time I could see someone have to take that apart. So hopefully that helped, because I think there's been a ton of questions on it. I've even seen some kind of bad advice. So
yeah, I just wish somebody would have told me about the WD-40 inside the reel. I spent hours doing this over multiple years, and I was going through $200 reels pretty quick. And I
a lot of WD-40 too.
Yeah, WD-40. I just thought, I was like, man, like I'm really fishing hard. Like this is good. I'm like, I'm going through these reels. In reality, I wasn't taking care of my stuff. I was doing inappropriate things. Doing nothing is, unless you're very technically inclined, doing nothing with it is almost going to be the best answer most of the time.
That's it. Cool. Well, hope this helped. Guys, if you do need tackle, maybe you did lose a favorite reel or rod, go over to fishstrong.com. Members save tons of money. And heck, that slot machine, $100 off. We got Otis back in right now as we're recording this.
Yeah, the Otis right here. And just lightweight. For reels, I go, I used to always spend $200 plus. Now it's always well under. For members, this is very good price. Only 7 ounces, super smooth, strong drag. Make sure to go, if you're throwing lures, get a light reel. Even going now, when I go back to like the 9+ ounce reels, it's like painful. I can't do it anymore. So go light. It helps big time.
That's it. Cool. We appreciate you guys. Leave a comment down below if you like this one, and or have any questions about cleaning or anything to do with rods, reels, tackle, etc. Otherwise, we appreciate you. Come join us in the Insider Club if you haven't already. If you are a member and haven't posted in the community, get back in there. We're doing some awesome giveaways right now. There is so much more engagement. This is the highest it's ever been this year. And as we're recording this, 2025, just about to be 2026. But guys, we appreciate you big time, and we'll talk to you on the next episode. Peace.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul. It was pain.